Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. I hope you had a good lunch and that you are full, feeling comfortable, and are ready for an information shower. This session is the lightning talk session, and we have a long row of good presenters that have had this constraint put on them now that they will only have 6 minutes of presentation time. The good thing about this is that you will all learn a lot of new things. Some of it might not be very relevant to you, but then it will only last for 6 minutes, and there will be a new subject on stage here. So with this many presenters, we will almost fill up the entire time, 90 minutes, with good presentations that have been prepared in great detail to make it concise and worthwhile listening to. This is a kind of a logistic nightmare to get all the presentations up and running in the right order and everything. We will start off with Svetlana. Come up on the stage, please. And you will tell us something about methods for improving multimedia streaming throughput to mobile nodes in heterogeneous wireless networks. So without further ado, I will sit down, start the counter, and there will be 6 minutes from now.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Svetlana Budko from Norwegian Computing Center, and my lightning talk today is about the work we did in the ADIMUS project, which was financed by the NordNet 3 program. And in this project, there were four research institutions from 3 countries like Norway, Finland, and Sweden. So the objective of the project was to develop efficient strategies for delivery of multimedia content to mobile users. And in our work, we consider the entire end-to-end delivery path from the source to the destination. We also considered that there was a large number of mobile devices operating simultaneously inside an area of overlapping coverage of several mobile networks. And we also considered the ability of the mobile devices to be connected to different access times, to different access points at the same time. So to meet the objective, we needed to define the delivery architecture. We needed to define the challenges for the efficient data delivery of mobile streams. We also needed to define the mathematical models for data delivery. And because they were involved many components, we needed, of course, decentralized algorithms. So this is the delivery architecture that we developed in the project. And as you can see, there are several content providers that stream their content to their many mobile users. These mobile users are connected to different mobile networks, and between the mobile networks and the content providers, we have the overlay network. So in our work, we strictly divided the architecture into the backbone overlay network and into the multi-access network. So for the backbone overlay subsystem, the challenge was that if the direct IP path can suffer from the congestion, then we needed to look at some different ways to deliver the content to the mobile networks. So we needed to assist applications in avoiding these congested paths, and we needed to monitor the connections between the proxy servers and also to develop the application layer forward decisions to change routing in the backbone. So for the backbone overlay subsystem, we formulated the optimal solution in terms of resource utilization, and also based on the examples from the literature, we define the law about references that we have to improve the performance according to these algorithms. And we also developed a decentralized approach for the transmission of multimedia streams through the overlay network. For the wireless heterogeneous subsystem, we have many mobile nodes that have multiple interfaces. They can also implement multiple technologies. There are several mobile networks, and we needed to implement network selection mechanisms so that it was possible for mobile nodes to be connected to the networks in a way that the networks could accommodate more users and also improve users' quality of service. So we considered two scenarios. It was a load balancing scenario and multicast scenario. So the conclusion. We were able to improve the consumption and utilization of both parts of the systems depending on different scenarios from 20 to 40%. And as a future work, we consider the integrated demonstrator because now we evaluated the just two subsystems separately. And we would like to look at the interactions between the main two parts. Then all evaluations were done in Omnet++ simulation tool. So we realized that it is, of course, not possible to perform full-scale field experiments, but we would like to look at some limited-scale field experiments. And also, taking into account that according to the last Cisco traffic forecast update, that still there is increasing demand for high-definition content in the mobile networks, and the existing mobile video optimization solutions are not sufficient, so we would like to look at the multipath solution for wireless subsystem. Thank you for your attention.
Very impressive, thank you very much. You were even ahead of time, which is impressive, I have to say. Thank you very much. Please come up next speaker, who is Urpo Kaila from Finland, who's going to tell us about something as exotic as ISO 27001 implementations. Here's the microphone, and please go ahead.
Is it on? Yes. Hello, my name is Urpo Kaila. I am the head of security for CSC, the Finnish IT Center for Science, providing, among others, the FUNET network service. And I will share with you our experiences with ISO 27001 certification and what we have thought about that. Let's see if I get this going. Oops, technical problems. Didn't work with that. Okay. Nope. Okay. So, what is ISO 27001? For you who are not familiar with that, it's an international standard. We call it ISO 27K for short. And it's an information security management standard for requirements. There are many sub-standards for that, but this is the only one which you can be certified on. Other are kind of best practices and recommendations. And that's really the only truly international one which exists. There are a lot of requirements in the current version from year 2013. There are 114 different mandatory control which you need to comply with if you want to be certified. And the scope is pretty wide. It's not only narrow computer security, it's also included, but you should have you have items like operations management, capacity management, incident management, business continuity management, risk management. It's really a wide area. And if you want to comply and certify to this, you must create something with the standard called statement of applicability. Your plan, how your organization, your service will comply with the requirements. No. So why? What benefit would this bring to you? This is our talk, what we have taught it. One is that it gives transparency. We can show to the world, to the stakeholders, that we really do things the right way. If you want to be mean, you could say that the opposite is security by obscurity. And it's well known that that's not a very good way to do things. It involves both management and operation. It's a misunderstanding that it would only be kind of about high-level policies. It's a very systematic approach. So you could say that instead of doing security by ad hoc, running after the 5 years, you have some kind of a plan and map to do it, and I like it that way. The other benefit is that you can join the club of the big gorillas, like Google, Amazon, Microsoft. And as we know, they have quite a good availability on their services. The very idea with the certification for us is to add trust. It's to add trust of our stakeholders, our owners, our customers and partners. And today, we need something tangible to show. We cannot only brag or rely on nice personal relation. We need to show somehow that we are really good and live up to high quality. I think it will give us a good help to manage ourselves. And the certification itself is not very expensive. People think that it costs a lot. It costs about 10,000 to 15,000 euro when the auditor comes, depending on the auditor. But of course, you might need to change a lot of ways you work. That might cost you some effort at least. And I really believe and I have seen that this has been a good thing for us. It will improve efficiency and accountability, and it also kind of creates some kind of order that the experts can do their job and the managers can do their job. Now I'm running a little bit out of time. Let's see here. So here are some Q&A very shortly. Do you get the massive bureaucracy? No. Will it solve all your security problems? No. Will everybody love you? No. But in the end, does it change your way of work? Yes. And can you be agile and apply it my way? Yes. Sorry, too much things here now. Let's see the final slide now. So, how to succeed? Make a plan, listen and learn, fix your non-conformities as the auditor thinks. You must learn and adapt all the way. Get your management commitment. Design your security system. Don't do it in ad hoc. Do a big map about it and grow it piecewise. And finally, we had a result. This is our certification. This I'm very proud of on the behalf of all team. We are expanding it from the bottom up. So now we will soon get all the ICT platform certified in a month's time or so. And I'm happy to discuss with you more here during the breaks or so. Thanks.
Thank you very much. This is definitely an interesting area that all NDN is moving into. Here's the microphone. Let's find your slides here. And coming to visit us all the way from India, flew in last night at 3 o'clock a.m. I have the honor of what? It was up there. I have to be patient here. Just leave it for a second. I'm happy with that we have so much time today. There we are.
The last one. I want to go to the first slide.
This is the first one.
Yeah.
All good? The next 6 minutes are yours. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to present a simple and novel technique to establish identity of a person in cyberspace. We all know that it is in the digital world or in the cyberspace, it is not possible to ascertain the identity of a person. Authentication techniques there are many. For identification of a person, conventionally, a photograph has been used, or a biometric information like fingerprints or iris have been used. But for all these things, we require to store the information and then to capture it for comparison purpose. So obviously, in the cyber world, it may not be possible in all the locations to have a facility for capturing a fingerprint or capturing the iris. Similarly, in the digital world, other technique is, of course, the most common one is a user ID and a password. So everyone is given a user ID and a password, but obviously we know that it could be hacked, it could be stolen, it is breakable. So OTP has been introduced. So in addition to the ID and password, there is a concept of OTP now. Session passwords, token-based passwords, there are so many techniques have been tried. But all these techniques are still short of identification of a person in cyberspace. So what I'm going to present to you is a small technique, and that is a simulation of CAPTCHA, OTP, and a user-defined user-selected function. And of course, we will have a authentication server and a user and an application, and how do they talk to each other to get the identification established. And I have given a name to it as the cognitive OTP. So if you look at this, suppose the user in the cyberspace want to access an application, the user ID and password is given to the application. The application server will return a OTP in form of a CAPTCHA to the user, which may be a number, it could be a combination of number and alphabets, it could be anything. The same OTP is also communicated by the application server to the authentication server, and the user applies a function to it. For example, just to understand, a very simple could be that if it is a 4-digit number, I'm going to reverse my digits. Somebody will say, I will do some mathematical calculation onto it, some predefined function which is known to the user and to the authentication server. So the OTP which is traveling from the application to the user, even if it is hacked, it doesn't make a difference because the user is going to apply a function to it to modify it. Let's say to reverse the digits, and communicate this to the authentication server, which also receives the similar function, the similar digits from the application, and does the same function and compares. If it is successful, then we say that the authentication is complete and identification of the person is complete. So what has actually happened in this process is the CAPTCHA has been used to ensure that there is no machine at the other end, which is a conventional way where CAPTCHAs are used. OTP adds to randomization. The OTP is always randomly generated. A user-defined function is there, so it is for the user to use a function, which could be a complex one, which could be a simple one. That all depends upon how do we define it. This is where the work is to be done, and on which we are working. And then user applies the brain, the neurons, you can say, some sort of a biometric information to it to modify that OTP to generate another OTP. So every time you have a new password, one can say the system is working on a concept of a fresh password each time you log into the machine. And the scheme can be used, of course, I have tried to explain to you in a short time. So there are 3 stakeholders in there, the user, the application server, and the authentication server. And they can talk to each other and do it. The work which is going on currently in what we are trying to do is that how do I define this user? When the user is being created, then how do I create this function which is associated to the user? And how does the server also remembers the function in some sort of a mathematical model? Thank you so much for the time. I am Anil Rawat. I thought I will say my name at the end so that if I need to miss it, I can afford to do that. I'm from Raja Ramanna Center for Advanced Technology, which is an institute, R&D institute in Indore. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. I have to say that you were 4.5 minutes, which was excellent. Thank you very much. Right to the point. Our next speaker is an old-timer in Federation business and many other businesses, and are going to tell us about how not to throw stones when you live in glass houses. And I was told from the media people that you really have to speak into the microphone, so thank you very much.
Okay. Hi everyone, yes, my name's Nicole Harris. You may know me normally from such terrain or extravaganzas like refeds, TFC, TFM&M. I'm here to talk about absolutely none of those. I'm here to talk about an idea called the Terrainer Greenhouse. I apologize for the gratuitous clip art, and I apologize for the lack of unicorns in my slides. Oh, that's good, it's not working. There we go. So why is Terrainer interested in greenhouses? This is not us diversifying our interest area ahead of our upcoming merger. The idea of a greenhouse is a very interesting one. It's an environment where we use a lot of different inputs. We need the sun to help us grow things. We need the seeds to produce flowers or fruit or vegetables for us to eat. We need to have the right tools to plant and grow those, and the outputs that we get may be things that go on to sustain human life, such as the tomato, or there may be beautiful flowers like tulips, which we have an awful lot of in Amsterdam. I did warn you about the gratuitous clip art. Terrainer is thinking about the concept of a greenhouse in the sense of software, and the software that we use within our NRENs, and more specifically the software that we develop as NRENs. NRENs produce an awful lot of software every year. Some of that software goes on to be used in very large-scale projects. Some gets used locally, some gets forgotten and gathers dust. But when you start creating a software project, and when that software project particularly gets taken up by other people, there are lots and lots of different things we have to think about. Money is always a really, really important factor in that. If you want other people to both use your software and contribute towards it, you need both ways for them to be able to do that in terms of software licensing and doing that in the right way, but you also need policies to accept and receive money, the cash. You need to think about hosting. Where are you hosting your software? Where's it being served? How are you doing bug fixes and all of that kind of good stuff? Where are you hosting? All of the documentation involved with that. You need a little bit of marketing. You need these people going out, telling people about the things you're doing in the ways that us techie people aren't very, very good at. And in the end, you get some kind of project or software output which gets taken up and used and earns you money, which is all absolutely fantastic. The problem is that's a very, very, very hard thing to do. Terrainer has been asked by an awful lot of software projects if we will look at providing some of the facilities and the functions to help you achieve all of those things so that the good techie people can just get along with doing what they're very, very good at, writing good code. So why has Terrainer been asked to do this? We've been asked because people think of us as a trusted intermediary, which is great to hear, but they feel that we're a place that will look after these things for them in the right place. We're also within a known jurisdiction. We are in the EU. There are an awful lot of software conservancies out there, but they tend to be based in the US. And people have problems with the idea of interacting and working with people in the US. We're also seen as an organisation that's very good at doing light touch things. We're not talking about setting up a massive new software conservancy here. We're talking about helping people do some of the functionality they need to make this go forward. We're seen as community appropriate, and we also have the abilities to socialise things in the right possible way. So we're starting to think through what we can do for the community, and there's some information up on the Terrainer wiki, which is right there. We have a master plan. This is our master plan. These will be available in the slides, but it just tracks the whole process that Terrainer uses, from somebody having an idea, perhaps within a task force, to developing that through to a plan, to an output, and through a software output. And the red areas are some of the things which we don't think we're actually doing very well at the moment, or not planning very well. And the greenhouse stuff is all the stuff at the bottom. So we're thinking about what we can do in terms of helping you promote it, what we can do in terms of the documentation involved, what we can do in terms of collecting money for you. And all of those kind of good things, which sounds absolutely brilliant. What I'm here today mostly to do is say, oops, can you please help me with this? Terrainer does all of those things already. We do it on behalf of an awful lot of projects. What we really struggle with is saying, well, if we're just going to take any project from out there in the community, what's the business model? How can we turn this into an effective business model for Terrainer? How are we going to make sure this is funded in a successful and sustainable way? And how do we know which are the right projects to fund and to work with and to put in our greenhouse and to grow so that we can all have beautiful flowers out there for us to look after? So please go along and have a look at the wiki. The information is up there on the slides. Join the mailing list, talk to me, and tell us what you think.
I think we perhaps set too much time aside here. You did it in, well, less than 5 minutes, and thank you very much, Nicole. Next speaker is from Finland, and is going to talk about something as strange as customer surveys. Do we really care about what our customers want and do and think? Let's see if it starts. That's a wrong presentation.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Harri Kuusisto. I come from Finland, Funet, and I work. The company name is CSC, IT Center for Science, and it operates the Funet network and the services. And today I'm here to talk about the customer surveys. And of course, I do it the way the Funet does it. And hopefully, I can share some best or at least good practices with you. Let's go for it. The bubblehead there says that I know what I'm talking about. Let's believe him. He looks like a trustworthy guy. We organize customer surveys biannually, so there is some year numbers that we have been doing this kind of surveys already 4 times. And I've been in NDN business for more than 12 years now. Well, the way we do our customer surveys, there's a reason for that, of course. The basic things there on the right side, the things we want to get out of the customer surveys after analysis. We need to get feedback about our services, about the quality of services. We also sometimes get new ideas for new services, ideas for shutting down some services, and so on. So it's really important to ask organizations and universities and other member organizations that what do you think we are doing? Are we doing the right things? Are we doing the wrong things? Customer surveys also have some marketing aspects, no doubt about it, because we can ask about services that maybe some customers or member organizations they didn't know about, and that's one important point here. We use the feedback, we use the ideas to go for service deployment and to fine-tune our service portfolios, etc. Okay, my animation works, hopefully. Not yet. All right. Yeah, the customer survey is a project, and it should be dealt like a project. You need a project manager, of course. You need someone to take care, to gather people together, and hopefully a lot of involved people who really care and who really put some effort and resources for making the questions and so on. So you need people involved. You need to do that. You need the right tools. There's plenty of tools. I'll get back to the different tools later, if I have time. But you have to test different kind of tools. There's a lot of tools in the internet. Oh my God, the time is flying. Anyway, reports. You need reports after you make the survey. You need some kind of reports. We do plenty of reports. I calculated 24 different kind of reports after the last survey we did. And well, yeah, you have different group of people. Our security guys really want to hear about the opinion of security-related answers and people who answered the survey, and so on. Next one. Questions, they are important. They are most important in surveys. If your questions are bad, you don't get answers, or you get the wrong answers. Pay attention for questions. Analysis, you need people to make this. And after the survey, the analysis, what is the next step? What's going to happen after you get the results? Can you guess the next word coming? No, you can't. It's NPS. How many in the room knows which is NPS when talking about surveys? Ooh, some 1, 2, 3, 4 maybe. Okay, I will get back to it. I have 1 minute. Okay, we use WebRepol. Well, it was the first one we tried, and we were satisfied. And it's made by a Finnish company. Anyway, there's a lot of tools. You can try them. Here, you are not supposed to see what's in these graphs and pies here, but it's just you need different kind of views. You need different kind of graphs to analyze. Okay, about the NPS. Last slide. I'm on time. Net Promoter Score. Okay, it's made by some guy named Fred Reichelt. You can Google it, and you should be aware that this model has also have some criticism, and this whole NPS stuff. Is it like the way to do things? But there is one question. How likely is it that you would recommend our company or Funet services to a friend or a colleague? It's a simple question. You will get answers, scale to 0 to 10. The people or answer will be a number. You will pick your number. If you are happy with the service and you would like to recommend it, you will answer probably 9 or 10. You will be the promoter. If you answer 7 or 8, you'll be like no comment, passive, no. And if you answer from 0 to 6, you will be detractor. And then you calculate the Net Promoter Score. Very easy. And Funet NPS this year we made the survey is 68. It's pretty high actually. The result over 50 is kind of good level, and the result over 70 or 75 extremely good. 2 years ago our NPS was 66. If you like to hear more about this or whatever goes for about customer service, please contact me later. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And also thank you for the comment about contacting you later. I will be so blunt or bold to, on behalf of all the speakers, tell you that you can at any point contact your speaker, your favorite speakers from your favorite presentations at a later point in time. We will not take questions during the session now, but I guess that most of you, if not all, will be available throughout the conference, so you can pick up on what you thought. Next speaker is from Norway, from Uninet, Morten Brekkevold, who's going to present on the network monitoring tool. And please speak well into the microphone. Thank you very much.
Hello.
6 minutes.
Okay, so in 2006, Uninet initiated the 4-year Giga Campus program, which some of you may have heard of. And one of the objectives of this program was to achieve a standardized upgrade of the campus networks and the local ICT expertise at the Norwegian universities and university colleges. As part of this program, we launched a new service, the Network Monitoring Toolkit service. Now, each customer who would subscribe to this service will receive a physical server, which we have preloaded with a bunch of software for network monitoring, analysis, and configuration. The customers would then install this server into the core of their own network, log in, and start using the software as they pleased. And Uninet would promise to operate and keep this running smoothly from remote. Also, as part of the service, we would invite our customers to annual workshops, free of charge, where they would receive training in using the various tools installed on the toolboxes, and also discussions among the customers, how to use the tools and which other tools we would need to add to the service. And this service proved quite popular among the universities and university colleges in Norway. Many of them are quite small. They have limited resources to actually start researching software and building their own monitoring solutions. So within the first few months that we were providing this service, we had 22 operational servers throughout Norway. And by the end of the Giga Campus program, we had more than 30 servers operational. Actually today, one of the largest universities in Norway has replaced their own monitoring service with our network monitoring toolkit, which is testament to how great the service is. While the service was initially paid for by Giga Campus funding, today the service is covered by our annual customer service fee. When it comes to the tools that we provide in the service, most of these are third-party tools, but the most central tool of them all is the network management software NAV, which was continually developed by Uninet during the Giga Campus program. And to this date, development of NAV continues in Uninet in the collaboration with the higher education community in Norway. Other tools in the toolkit include Hobbit or Simon for service monitoring, which we have integrated into NAV. We have NFSen for net flow reception and analysis. We have a Firewall Builder for managing access lists. And some customers who also subscribe to our measuring beacon service can use the AppFlow application to do application analysis of the measurement data. And as part of the service, we have many integration points between these tools which we have developed ourselves. So deciding which tools to actually provide and which ones to improve and how to use them has been an ongoing process for this past 8 years. We rely heavily on customer feedback to improve our services, and so these annual workshops have proved quite valuable for us. There is also a reference committee of customers who meet twice a year to discuss how to prioritize development of the open source tool NAV. I have a single slide. We manage all the servers using the configuration management tool CF Engine. And we monitor all the servers using Simon, which is also installed on each server for use for the customers. And as you can see, we have quite a geographical spread on the servers. Norway is a big country, and we even have one in Svalbard. One thing that's very useful for us is that modern hardware has remote management consoles, which is quite useful as long as we don't have physical access to most of the equipment. But this is also our biggest challenge, is the actual management of the physical hardware. We ship the servers with redundant components where we can, but we send replacement components on a best effort basis. And in the face of catastrophic failures, we have replacement servers which we can ship and then restore the data from backup. But sometimes this means that customers can spend up to a week without having a working monitoring solution, which is probably the least polished part of the customer experience. So we have some future challenges, and that we'll be looking into actually ways to provide a quicker failover in the face of a catastrophic failure. Something we have thought about is possibly providing monitoring from the cloud as a temporary measure while we provision a new server, or improve the software to work in a more distributed manner. And there's also the fact that we have made some internal changes to what kind of software we will use to monitor and configuration management in Uninet. But this has been a very great success story for Uninet, and we think that this could be applicable for other Nordic countries as well. So we have an ongoing proposal to Nordinet for something like this in other Nordic countries to adopt. So if you have any questions regarding this topic, don't hesitate to have a chat with me during the conference. I will be here every day. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Morten. Very good, thank you very much. Next speaker is from Sweden. And there we are. There we are.
Showing all my slides beforehand. So.
The next 6 minutes are yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have to, of course, Johan Bergström is going to tell us about UNIS and a UNIS analysis initiative. So thank you very much.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Johan Bergström, and I'm an international business coordinator at ITS Umeå University, but I'm also a project manager within UNIS for this project, ARI, and I'll tell you in a short while what that stands for. I don't know, you may or may not know, UNIS is a pan-European organization focused on administrative IT and IT services for higher education institutions. And one way of helping universities with their business is by providing good information about the world they live in. And one way of doing that is providing statistics and knowledge about their everyday life. Now, this image doesn't really say anything, and it's quite obvious why. It's lacking in data, but if you add that data, it gets a lot more knowledgeable and easy to understand. Now, this specific graph comes from a pilot that Internet2 and EDUCAUSE did, I think this summer, on e-textbooks. And that's all very, very well, but what does that say about the European context? Where can the random European higher education CIO find the answers they need about their business? Now, that's a question we asked ourselves, and that's why we started the project ARI. Stands for UNIS Research and Analysis Initiative. So, where do we want to get? Well, the mission of UNIS is, like I said, trying to help the university CIOs or university leaders in general to have the most professional information available about IT in higher education. And ARI should be a tool to predict and plan, but perhaps most importantly, make the case for IT within their institutions. And this is done in several countries today on a national basis. We don't want to create a monster of an organization doing this all by ourselves. We see this as a collaborative project where these are the organizations we're working with today in Europe, providing information from their different countries. But there are several pan-European, but also international organizations that we work with in this. So what we really want to do is try to bring a European voice rather than a national voice on these issues. So what are the issues? What are we trying to achieve? Well, first of all, assembling and disseminating the national research and analysis that is done in each country. We have that already. We're doing that already to some extent. Surveys, we want to do our own surveys. We've done 2 so far, BI, on BI, business intelligence, but also the annual benchmarking study that is done, it's called the bench height. Case studies, both technical, the technical perspective, but also an organizational perspective on what it's like out there. And of course events, being at events like this, talking about it, but also having the events. Within UNIS we have the annual conference. It was in Umeå this summer, the last summer. And like I said, this is a collaborative project, and we've just begun, and we want to invite more organizations in this work. That's why I'm here. Not only do I open up for questions afterwards, I require questions. So I really want you to reach out and see in what way you want to help in this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Johan. And again, 5 minutes. Incredible how concise and precise you are all. Next speaker. Yeah. I'll do like this. And this is, yes, this is Maciej Brzeźniak from the neighboring country, Poland. And you're going to talk about secure storage.
Yeah.
Even in the times of Snowden.
Even in front of all these crazy affairs we hear about. Okay, so I will be speaking on behalf of the whole team and PSCC and also in Polish universities, which actually developed the solution for storing the data securely in the cloud, despite all these issues we have. So it is now obvious that the security in the cloud is not really obvious. So, for instance, during the RSA conference this year, some top experts from companies such as Verizon, Microsoft, or Google stated that cloud is now safe enough to be used for storing the data. But 1 month later, one of these experts has to admit that this bug, which was revealed, named Heartbeat, had actually the catastrophic consequences on the data privacy. We argued that we cannot longer rely on a single method of securing our data. For instance, many of the storage systems today control the access to the data based on authorization and authentication. And it is good enough until someone exploits the bug, hidden bug especially, in this layer. So we argue that in future we should be having more than one line of defense, and we propose to use cryptography as the second line of defense against possible attackers. Okay, so we developed a solution where we use a combination of symmetric and asymmetric cryptography. We use AES for effective encryption of bulk data, and then we use asymmetric cryptography, which is helpful when you want to keep the security high by keep the key management from the user perspective easy. So in our solution, users have to only handle pair of master asymmetric keys, and they can realize implement scenarios such as secure storage, secure sharing with the others, even in case if they don't really trust the service provider. But even with these simplifications, cryptography might be perceived as too complex by users, so that they actually will not use it. And we realized this fact, and we put a lot of effort into making this cryptography easy to use. And the solutions we developed deliver, for instance, a virtual file system for Windows and Linux. We have a portable GUI application which enables you to store and access your data. We also have mobile clients, currently for Android, Windows Mobile being now developed, and also iOS on the roadmap. So using these clients, you can share securely your data between different people and also between among your different devices. What is important here is easiness of use. I will show an example how it looks like later on. But it's also openness. the source code is available, so we can audit the solution. You can see if it's really safe, and you can also audit our concept by reading the documentation we put into papers and also into our website. So it is. This slide shows how it is usable. So after configuring your session to the server, actually we mainly use, at this point we use SFTP protocol for communicating with remote storage. So you provide login path and address of the server. You mount your virtual drive under Windows, and then you can interact with this as it would be really a local device. So we don't even see the encryption happening, but you keep your data safe. So I'm here to invite you to try out our solution. You can now download the clients, the secure clients for Windows and Linux and all the platforms I mentioned from this location. I encourage you to see our papers where we explain our concept, the motivations for the design decisions we made. And we also prepared a demonstration server for the conference, so you can go to the server, you can sign up for the test account, and you can download our clients and see how it works. And we would be happy to get any kind of feedback, so enthusiastic but also criticism, because we believe that the solution is a good basis for developing secure storage systems in NRANs, and we would be happy to be able to contribute to kind of community solution. We would be happy to collaborate with you and also on improving the solution. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm always, well, I'm getting almost afraid here that you will go down to 1 minute presentations because you get so concise, but thank you very much. I think this is a very interesting and very important area. And now I will say hello to you, Hans Nordlöf, which is, you are also going to talk about a highly interesting and very important area. And let's see if we can get this distraction away. You don't have any slides? There?
Nope. That wasn't.
No.
That one.
Here we are. So EduID is an open IDP. The next 6 minutes are yours. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Hans Nordlöf, and I'm a project manager in the SUNET EduID project. And I don't have any more slides than that, so if you are interested, you can focus on me instead of looking there, and listening. If you are not, take a power nap or something. I'm going to talk about the EduID in Sweden, which is, as many other countries in Europe already has, an IDP for students, one central IDP for students. In Sweden, we have had that for a while, and it has been the admission authorities where you apply to get to be admitted to your university or university college. And but the CIOs of universities and university colleges asked SUNET to build one open IDP for all students, where they should have an account that they could get before they get admitted to higher education, and have it during their studies and as long as they want to. And that's what we are trying to build. And in March this year, it went into production. And there are 5 or 6 universities that are using EduID in their activation process today, where people who have an EduID can use that assurance level, the high assurance level that we plan to have, and use it to identify themselves to the university where they are going to study. And we are putting a lot of energy into getting a high level of assurance, and we have and are developing a lot of vetting and proofing tools to get a high level of assurance. And in that process, we are also trying to be part, or trying to have Kantara AL2 assessment for our processes. And right now, after a couple of months, there are only 5,000 plus accounts in EduID. We are aiming at 100,000 within a year or two, and we hope that it is going to happen. And the reason why we are trying to address this here right now is that projects like these are known to happen all around in Europe and in the Nordic countries, and we would like to form a network of those who run those projects and see if we can help each other, and maybe get a federation of EduIDs all over Europe and exchange high level of assurance identities to others. And what we are doing today is that we are trying to find more accurate proofing methods to get a high level of assurance. We are also working very hard to get a Kantara AL2 assessment for our work. And yep, thank you.
Tack så mycket. I think Mats is first. Yep, sorry. It's all about the order you sit in on the row there. So the next speaker is Mads Frederik Petersen from WAVE in Denmark, an identity federation that I'm roughly familiar with. And we work at on the same project, the Identity Federation in Denmark. And Mads is going to talk about censorship of other people's metadata. So you have 6 minutes from now, Mads. Take it away.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Mads Frederik Petersen from WAVE in Denmark. So you saved me 30 seconds of my own speech. WAVE is a Danish higher ed federation, and it contrasts other federations in two important ways. We have an opt-out policy, and we are an hub and spoke. We have an hub and spoke architecture. The first one means that when an SP comes into WAVE, the IDPs they're forced to use the SP even if they don't want to. They have to opt out. And in other federations, is this working? In other federations, the IDP normally has to opt in to get access to the SP. So normally, when an SP comes into WAVE and wants to get connected, they come with a long laundry list of attributes they want to have from us. And then our distinguished session leader starts negotiating with them. And usually it ends with a much smaller list of attributes that they're allowed to get. This works well for us in our little federation in Denmark, because as we are a hub and spoke federation, we can actually enforce these attribute release policies upon our IDPs and upon our SPs. But then we get connected to the interfederation world, especially EduGain. And now we have the problem: who has reviewed all the attribute release policies that comes in from other federations, via Edugain. And it seems that no one has. So until now, we have just either approved, opted in for a given SP, or we have opted out, not approved. But we want to be able to make the negotiations or to decide for ourselves what we think is the fair amount of attributes for giving SP. So we have made this censoring tool, and an attribute release policy inspector looks at the ARP and selects. First, they select what the SP they want to look at. They say this is all the Jiang SPs, for example, and then they go and then they unselect all. Normally unselect all the wanted attributes and say we only want to give away one active person target ID. And then this is saved as a kind of diff in our side, and then they get applied to metadata as they come in and gets renewed every day. And it can be done both on the attribute list and on the descriptions and on every other part of the metadata we want to control in the long run. Thank you.
Very fast, very fast. Thank you very much, Mads. So much for censorship of other people's metadata. I'm sure that will stir some discussions over the coming years if this is the right approach. I have to say that I'm very, very impressed by all of your presentations. I think they're all interesting. It's just a very, very positive thing here. So let's see. So, next speaker on stage is Tom Mühlern from Uninet, and you're going to talk about the CBP activities. And please explain to us what that is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. That's probably CBP, that's Campus Best Practice Activities. And I'm not going to talk about that in general, really, even if we are participating in Campus Best Practices. But I'm going to try to get onto the next slide and tell you that I'll try to introduce you to 2 new Campus Best Practice documents that's about to be released. There's 3 mentioned there. The first one, the Aruba controller configuration for eduroam, will be available also this year, but it'll come a bit later. So I go a bit more into detail now about using Windows Network Policy Server for eduroam and a NAT solution for campus. We've seen an increasing number of institutions in Norway, especially the smaller ones, using the Windows radius with eduroam. So we thought it was about time to produce a best practice document for that. We have had similar documents before, but they've never been released as BPDs. So this effort now is based on something that was done previously in Uninet with 2003 server, and we've cooperated with SurfNet, who had a document for a 2008 server. And now we've come up with the latest version, Windows 2012 server, and this document is then showing the whole process from installing the MPS, configuring it, and it's got an appendix explaining how to set up the Windows server as a CA server and produce your own certificate to be used with eduroam then. So this should be easy enough to follow for someone who's fairly inexperienced as well. It includes, in the beginning, 1 page with an overview for more experienced users. The whole document is rather large. It's actually 60 pages plus, due to all the cut and paste you have to do with Windows to create this. This document is now with the Dante technical readers, so I expect it to come out quite soon. The only real change that we've done from the previous document from SurfNet then is that we're recommending now to use what's called override of a network policy in a connection request policy that is to force the radio server, the Windows radios, to do an EAP dialogue. Because if you don't do that, you won't work with anonymous outer identity. So, and quickly on to the next one. This is at the moment for review in the Norwegian sector, and it's been translated within the GN3+. This is a NAT solution for campus, and even if you don't like NAT, we've decided to write this BPD because there's quite a few institutions complaining they haven't got enough addresses. But the recommendation then is to enable IPv6 at the same time in combination with running this NAT solution. It's based on a DBN7 installation and IP tables. It's run on you can run it on a virtual machine or specific hardware. We don't recommend to do it on the network equipment to avoid the load there. Also, the recommendation is to have a maximum of 4,000 clients or a /20 network. If you require more than that, use a second installation. And then just NAT one CNAT to one public address to avoid port problems or using too many ports. It's using a NetFlow module to log to an external server. And this solution is available at the Uninet software repository or as a complete VM image with the Debian as well on it. It's actually a nice feature you can have is if you run the DHCP server on the same server, you can actually use public addresses as long as you've got them. And once that's saturated, you can then use of the private address pool. Yeah, this is a drawing of how the routing will be. And as you can see, the IPv6 traffic will then go straight to the first gateway router, whereas the IPv or the NATed traffic will be routed through this NAT server. Okay, and both these documents will be available both at the GN3 pages and the Uninet pages. And if you'd like to talk to me about these documents, I'll be at the Uninet stand after these talks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tom. And the last but not the least speaker is Magnus Bergroth. And let's see if we can find your slide. There we are. Looks all well. And what you're going to talk about is multi-domain VPN, which is probably going to be a big thing. Thank you very much. You have 6 minutes.
Yeah, I'm Magnus Bergroth from Nordnet. I've been part of the project in Xi'an that tries to create VPNs over multiple domains. So this is probably going to be a sales pitch or something like that for you to use this service. So the problem we're trying to solve is that if you have your NREN network, in this case SUNET, and you have a user base that wants to have a VPN to multiple locations, you basically set up a layer 3 VPN or a VPLS or something for them. And that's quite easy when you have an MPLS-enabled network. But then one day they decided, well, we need to expand this VPN to another NREN, for example in Renater. And you need to figure out how to do this. What you usually do is like, okay, I try to figure out a layer 2 VPN, layer 2 service between SUNET and Renater, and I ask Nordnet for a layer 2 circuit, and then I ask Xi'an for layer 2 circuits. And you get all these stitching points where you get single points of failures. And it's work as long as nobody does anything on those stitching pointers. And then this VPN expand even more, and they say, well, we need to have this site in DFN as well. And you continue the same way. You ask for a layer 2 point-to-point circuit, and you get even more stitching pointers. And if you're lazy, you don't do a stitching point between DFN and Renater, but if you want to, you might do that as well. But this doesn't scale. It's tedious work, and it takes a long time to do. So what we try to do is basically this. We wanted to expand our MPLS networks to all domains. So we already have interconnection between all the domains. At the moment we run IPv4 and IPv6 on them. So basically what we did was to create a VPN inside Nordnet and inside Giant that holds IP addresses with MPLS labels on them. So basically Sunet advertised to Nordnet reachability to all their end nodes, the PEs in this case, and a label with that saying to reach this PE use this MPLS label. And Nordnet sends those to Giant, and Giant sends them to DFN and Renater. And the way we send them is basically using standard BDP with an extension of something that's called labeled unicast. And all of a sudden we have MPLS reachability between all endpoints. And that reachability can be used for transport of any service at all. And the nice way about this is that it actually scales. If something goes wrong with a stitching point between, for example, Sunet and Nordnet, you can just use the other way around, the other path, as it used BDP as signaling. So it's not a stitching point in that way. And when a second VPN comes along, you just configure the VPN between Sunet and Renater, and you don't tell Giant, you don't tell Nordnet that you have a VPN going on. Well, you might tell them because you're nice, and they want to know the user service, but still. Well, and then we have the problem with these guys that they might not have an NRAN with an MPLS-enabled network. In that case, Giant created a VPN proxy that basically terminates the VPN service, and then you can just provide a layer 2 service between the proxy and the end users. So you can be part of it even if you don't have an MPLS network. So how far have we come with this? Well, we use standard BGP and MPLS. We run it on Juniper boxes and Cisco boxes. It works fine. We have one, it's running in a pilot phase in Giant, and we have one big user, that's the Sci-Fi project. They have at least 15 different sites in a bunch of different domains. They're running a layer 3 VPN with the RFC 1980 addresses. At the moment, 14 NRANs are connected. 5 more NRANs are saying that they will be connected. And as this is an MPLS transport, you can basically use it for whatever thing you can run on MPLS. You can use it for IPv4, IPv6, point-to-point, layer 2 VPNs, VPLS, and layer 3s. And if you can think of something else, you can probably use it for that as well. One thing to say, this is just an overlay network, so you will not get any guaranteed bandwidth or anything else. It will just be like your normal IP transport, but it will give you a VPN for that thing. Okay, that was what I have to tell about.
Thank you very much. And with that, we have concluded 12 presentations, short, concise. I would like to invite you all to come up on stage here to get a round of applause. I think this has been the shower of information that we had all hoped for. And as I said before, I'm very surprised to see how incredible, interesting, and well presented all of this is. I think you can stand over here. Take a bow. Yes. So with this, we have concluded well ahead of time. Thank you very much. And that will leave you with 15 more minutes during the break, which will begin now, to come up to all the presenters and ask them questions and get more insight. Thank you very much for coming and joining the session. And now is break time. Thank you.